and what can we do to get over it. And with that, we are starting a live stream as well, everyone. So welcome to the club. And the book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is kind of a warm-up. Part 2 talks about 12 goals which are not allowing us to reach our full potential, which is where we are reading now. And the last part is, what can we do, and that we are not alone actually in this entire thing. As discussed last week, we have read till chapter number 10. We are going to be starting chapter 11 today, which is the perfection trap. We were to read perfection trap, and we are going to be starting with chapter 12, which is the disease to please. And I think it's very common. So with that, we will go ahead and quickly start. I know there are some, hey, Balwinder, hi Raji, thanks for joining in. And I know some of us are new readers here. It's absolutely okay. The book does not need to be read in a sequence.
You're fading and fading out, Garma.
She got stuck.
Hi, can you guys hear me still? Sorry, I by mistake went on airplane mode. I don't know why.
You're better. That time couldn't. It was like as if frozen,
Yeah, because I clicked on airplane mode by mistake. Apologies. Okay, so we seem to be adding people here, which is good. Let me just, different systems have different, key shortcuts. Okay. So what do you want to talk about? Anything that resonated with all of you about the last chapter that we read? I found the chapter very interesting, the perfection trap, because I blame myself for it now that I've read about it. Anything that anybody would want to share?
I felt if I had access to this book back about even 10 years back, I would have been much, much better in my professional life, because
So Amrita. But you know what, at least some of us who are still working, and for the younger women who are, if you know younger women who are just starting their career, I think this is a very good book for them to read as in the early part of the career itself, so that they can build upon themselves as they progress. But you're right, a lot of things I thought that, oh my, this book should have been in my hands sooner.
Correct. I'm not working currently, but I mean, it's like 10 साल पहले ये किताब दी होती तो मैं थोड़ा सा situations को better handle करती,
I know. And so a couple of things that I want to quickly read. And in case there's somebody who's just starting the book, you can start anywhere. Some of the things it resonated with me was the very first line. Striving to be perfect creates stress. And that's when I realized that even in the household work, that, the cushion should be set exactly how it's supposed to be, right? Or if you're making a PowerPoint presentation, the font, size, color, shape, everything has to match. And it distracts you from the big picture, because at the end of the day, I believe somebody will still visit my house and the cushion is still going to go, sink in. Correct. So I'm not saying leave it shabby, but you don't have to have the points and you don't have to do the cut all the time, right? And this was good. Striving to be perfect creates negative mindset, because you're constantly thinking, if this is not done this way, somebody will not like it, and I'm not going to get whatever I'm striving for. It's unrealistic. It sets you up for disappointment because you can't do it all the time. So that's another thing that resonated with me. It also says that as a result, you tend to take failures deeply to heart, right? Because had I checked my team's work, and blah, blah, blah. But what I liked was why women do this only. I'm not sure if you guys have read this section, but we have talked about it so much. Two reasons: gender expectations from the childhood, that your writing has to be perfect, always write in cursive writing. There's no pressure on boys to have a good cursive handwriting, right? They can write in gibberish, they can just make doodle, and people don't comment. But I remember being told all the time that just focus on your handwriting, so much so that there was a time that they said your writing is very good. But any which ways, the second was how those expectations get reinforced in the workplace too, because usko kaam de diya, so it will get done. Somewhere women are always held accounted for as the most responsible one, who will get the things done, who will ensure that the meeting rooms are booked, who will ensure that they will plug in their laptop and test the projector and the connectivity and everything, because at least that's what I do. But trust me, meetings that guys schedule, I'm not saying that they're shabby. They are not that formal, right? They'll go and they'll make a joke about it. If something, doesn't go right, it's fine. So I realized that, yes, I'm guilty of everything. Another thing was, it says one line, in order to rise, you have to lay your burden down. It's like, if you're lighter, you fly. So I said, yeah, makes sense. Constantly harassing my team members to make the PPT correct doesn't do anyone any good.
Such a profound statement. In order to rise, you have to lay the burden down, and we carry so much of burden.
We do. We do that, chai mein chini theek honi chahiye, otherwise, what will they say?
Because that last sentence is on page 130, and the last paragraph talks about women in India. Apart from our professional lives, we are expected to be the perfect daughter-in-law.
Perfect daughter-in-law. Very true. So I realized that, and then I didn't feel like marking anything on the page, because the cost, I don't know if anybody has read that, the cost was like everything I resonated. My team gets stressed because I'm constantly, quote unquote, harassing them to do better in the PowerPoint presentation, to recheck your calculations, to do this, nothing can go wrong. So it's going to be difficult, but I realized it keeps me away from maybe fully engaged or be fully alert sometimes when I'm in a senior group having a strategic discussion. And most importantly, at home, I realized it exhausts me. It exhausts my son to, think about, "Kacha mujhe theek karna hai." So, and I read on Insta, it is back during COVID days, somebody had put up a very positive update post. A messed up house means that, the child was playing, he was happy. If you're not able to, clean your laundry, it's fine. It means you had the clothes to wear and you did good work. So don't feel guilty about it. See that, you were able to cook. That's why probably you have utensils in the sink. So I'm not saying live unhygienically, but don't kill yourself for it. So I kind of, we all need to relax a bit, take a deep breath. Anybody else would want to talk about, if you have not read, but if you hear Amrita and me?
Yes, Garima. Raji here. I want to add a few words.
Raji.
Yeah. Okay. One is before about the book. Yesterday we had Bangalore Meet, and book club was one of the topic we discussed. And we were asking how many people, have been part of it. And there were some new people. And we all, whoever has read even a little bit of the book, we did say that this book is amazing. And everybody would have been telling that, I read this some years back. So if you have not read, you can at least pick it up now. And people were asking, I have not read, can I join the discussion now? And Garima, as you rightly pointed out, at least this book I saw, you can just start picking it up from anywhere and start reading it. You will still feel that it's applicable for you, right? So, and people have asked for a link to join the WhatsApp group, right? So that's the reason I had posted it. Once, I get that message, probably I can put it in the Bangalore group. So we are looking forward for more ladies coming in and joining the book club.
That sounds awesome. Raji, I must have missed it being Sunday today.
I know,
I
I
was
know,
trying to
that's
run
fine.
some errands, and but nonetheless, I think that's
No,
great to
that's
hear.
fine. That's exactly the thing, that we need not be perfect. It's okay to miss few
Exactly.
messages. If somebody really wants, they'll ask you again. That's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Because
Thank
all
you.
of us have so many. I think after perfection, Kabut, I always had it. And a few years back, I realized and came out to a larger extent. And then with the social media, with so much of WhatsApp group and subscribing in many places, all your mail accounts are always filled, right? All your groups are always filled with messages. And sometimes I used to feel, oh my God, I'm not even catching up with my messages, right? So I don't know who is waiting and what is happening. And that's why I told you this message. Then I convinced myself, if somebody really wants you, they'll figure out a way to reach out to you, right? There is no way you can actually see everything and respond to everything. So it's okay, chillax and relax. That's what I was thinking. That's one part. And second thing is, it took a lot of time for me to realize that, you know, the perfection booth doesn't just affect me, it affects everybody else a lot more than me, because my world of perfection probably is very, very different from other world of perfection. For somebody, a cloth lying there may still be a perfect thing, right? Maybe I am only the one who is feeling it. So all of that hard learned lessons started applying. And when I read some parts of this book, I did feel, yeah, a lot of these things, thankfully, even before reading this book, I've realized, and I've taken up few things, but still long way to go, a lot more things to happen. And good to hear from everybody that, you know, yesterday also the same thing came, you know, many times we feel guilty of many things, but when we hear others telling the same thing, oh, it's not only me, everybody is going through, so it's okay. Then we relax a little more when we see a lot more people subscribe to the same idea. So I think it's okay to let go of it, even without everybody else subscribing to the idea, as long as you feel good about it and move forward without hurting others. That's all I wanted to share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I know we are home and probably we are not in the best of our looks, but it's going to be good if you all can try and switch on your camera so that we all can have a little interactive connect. But if you don't have anything to add, then can we start with the next chapter, which is
Garima, can
super
I add?
guilty of? Yes, please.
Although
Please,
I have not read this book, but I do resonate that perfection is a myth, be it in financial terms, be it personal terms, or anywhere. Because some women who are perfectionists, they try hard to do everything perfectly. So this is a biggest torture they carry in their head, that no, I have to cook perfectly, I have to impress my family, I have to take care of my family perfectly, I have to do this work perfectly. So just chilled out and say, I'm going to do my best as per my capability, and let things happen, because other will point out, even if you are doing even if you are giving yourself of 200%. So just give your best and do it, and be chill, especially for those people who are perfectionists. So for them, stop being hard to themselves and chill out and just do it. Thank you.
Yes, so true. I was actually trying to call Hira because I am no longer the host, so I can't share my screen. But can we start reading the next chapter? Just give me 1 second.
Garima, you're on mute.
I said I'm very much guilty for the next one, and I'm sure all of us are. It says a disease to please. Let's go ahead and read that. And probably I realized we picked up the book at a very good time. The annual appraisal is around the corner. We are all, or the calendar is closing. It's a good time to declutter our habits as well, right? So let's make a list of the things that we don't want to carry forward with us in the new year. And let's set ourselves some targets that, you know, I will not do this, and make a conscious effort to stop doing some of the things that we realize we shouldn't have done at the first place. So therefore, I think the timing is really good. With that, let's start reading. We'll read chapter 12. Anybody up for it? Okay, I will read and then maybe somebody else can pick up later. Trying to be a perfect person is a trap, given human limitations, but trying to be a wonderful person can be a trap as well. The desire to be wonderful in all circumstances, to be thoughtful and nice and make everyone around you feel good, is known among coaches as the desire to please. It's considered particularly prevalent among young women. If you are a chronic pleaser, chances are you know it. You may even talk about it, usually in an apologetic tone, and you are probably aware of how it holds you back. Maybe you routinely say yes to tasks and jobs that you know will eat up your time, but bring you little benefit. Maybe you spend hours commiserating with people who seem to enjoy complaining and then wonder what you do to attract them. Maybe you get enmeshed with colleagues who have a knack for creating drama and whom others seem to skillfully avoid. You resolve to keep away from them, but end up getting sucked into their toxic orbit. The disease to please can undermine your ability to make clear decisions because you're always trying to split the difference among competing needs in hopes of creating consensus or avoiding giving offense. This can impair your judgment and leave you vulnerable to manipulation by people who know how to use guilt to get others to accommodate their needs. It can rob you of the capacity to act with authority for the fear of disappointing others, or making them even temporarily unhappy. It can make you an unreliable advocate or ally because you are so easily swayed. It can distract you from your purpose, squander your time and talents, and contribute to your general stuckness. The disease to please is anything but pleasant, and it can be positively poisonous for your career. But what makes you this way, and how can you break the habit? Like perfectionists, chronic pleasers usually have difficulty delegating. Perfectionists resist it because they believe they can do everything better, while pleasers are motivated by the desire to be helpful and a reluctance to burden others or let down anyone who might have relied on them in the past. You may be aware of all these drawbacks, yet still find yourself hooked on pleasing because the effort you put into being helpful and putting others first makes you feel like a good person. Certainly, there are men who find themselves in these no-win situations. But psychologists and coaches will tell you that the disease to please is more typically found in women. Why? The answer is probably a combination of factors. As already noted, research shows that girls are more likely to be rewarded for being obedient, agreeable, helpful to others, and nice, both at home and at school. An organization often shepherd entry and mid-level women into helping positions where they are judged on their ability to meet the needs of others and may be penalized for self-assertion. Also, as we saw in the previous chapter, even women at senior levels tend to be more highly rewarded when they fulfill expectations or act in ways that others find pleasing, rather than when they act boldly or assert independent views. Pleasing also gives women the opportunity to use the nurturing and intuitive strength that they have developed over millennia of evolution and upon which their families depend. These include sensitivity to human interactions and a gift for noticing when others are upset, worried, frightened, or tuned out. These are skills many women hone over a lifetime, skills that get a special workout if you become a mother. Obviously, these skills provide many advantages, not only at home, but at work. The ability to read the needs of others gives you an edge when it comes to motivating, engaging, and communicating with customers, clients, peers, and direct reportees. It can be of great benefit to your organization and your customers, especially as hearts and minds engagement becomes an ever more critical component of success. Yet, when the need to be liked or perceived as helpful overwhelms other consideration, the skills that should provide an advantage can prove detrimental. And while the need to please may serve you in the earlier stages of your career, it will impede you as you move higher, eroding your capacity to demonstrate leadership and serving as the ultimate tool for giving your power away. How are we feeling?
Yeah.
So
Recollect-
true.
There's this one
Resonates many times.
Yeah, recollecting,
It hits,
recollecting
you know.
moments when
yes.
And knowingly we do,
life.
that is what hurts.
Yes, we know that we shouldn't do it. But, you know, when somebody comes with the puppy eyes that, you know, what can you please, you know, get this done? I have to take my girlfriend out. It's like, you know, poor guy, I'll help you. But how many times has somebody said, you know what, okay, go have a life of your own. I'll do it for you. And Raji, when we started, you know, when you mentioned that, you know, it's okay to miss a text or something, I realized that there was a time when one of my colleagues made a comment that, you know, even when you take a planned vacation, which by the way, you know, is part of our contract, right? We all know that, right? It's part of my contract, right? So she said that, you know, it's a ways that you even apply for leaves because you're always available on the phone or something. And you always tell your team members, call me anytime you need, you even log in sometimes. So probably you should stop taking vacations and we should try and give it to somebody else. And that still hurts. So what can we do to get over this habit without being rude?
Garima, I used to do all of these things earlier. Okay. Now, upfront, I send out a mail like starting of the month, whatever is the planned leave, I tell everybody, my manager, whoever is responsible, I send out a mail. These are the days I will be not available. And I ensure I set out of office saying that I'm away. I can get back only so and so. And in case emergency, whom you should reach out, that always option is available. Initially, when you do, it pinches thinking that world is going to fall apart. Believe me, nothing is going to fall apart. Everything will still continue going in. If you keep doing it, nobody is going to say no. We are the one who are going to say no. And it is working. It is working for me. I am amidst tight schedules. Last Thursday, I took off one day. This week, Wednesday, I'm going to take off. Next week, Monday, I'm going to take off. So it's okay. If something is going to fall apart, so be it. It's not going to be any critical. And I need my break time for whatever reason it is for me to rejuvenate and come back. And I don't want to be guilty about that.
Rajeshwari, this reminds me of the fact we were 3 managers on the floor. So the one manager went on leave. So they gave you, you know, a kind of a handover, no? What has to be done, what is critical. So typically everyone's out of office is activated because we were in customer support. So that's like one should be activating the out of office. Now, what I would do is, and at the end of the day, after I had finished my work, which was never finished, I would sit and look at her critical mails, spend that extra hour on the office, and even respond to the basic things which wasn't fire situation that, you know, we'll get back to you between 24 to 72 hours or whatever and tell the team. But when I went on leave, I had all the mails were like unread. So that's when I got to know that I don't have to, you know, be so perfect and diligent with everything, you know, because it's at the end of the day, my client and my mails that I have to answer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Nisha. Actually, I'm a dental surgeon. At work, I don't have much of this problem because I run my own clinic, but I'm facing this issue in my house, this pleasing disease and this perfection disorder also. I don't know how to get over with this so that I get some me time.
I was in another class and I suggested that she read this book to get out of the perfection disorder and beat the disease to please, you know.
I think setting boundaries would work because a lot of times
exactly about to say that. So thank you so much, Rakhi.
Yeah, a lot of times what happens, we don't set boundaries, we don't communicate, we don't express ourselves. Because of that, other people take us granted. So when there will be open conversation that this is something what I love, or this is what I didn't like, this is something what how it should be done, open conversation may work in a certain way, then then no conversation. Then second one is writing a letter. At least write a letter. If you cannot communicate, at least pass your message. Same with the team members, same with your colleagues, that this is something how our work culture should be. One, what work culture our company gives. One, what we want to create as a co colleague. So that sort of our own culture, our own environment would work. So yeah.
Yeah. My take on this is be prepared. Like there will be some consequences, and then be prepared. The fear, right? My view is the fear stops. So be ready. Like what can happen, and then okay, first start with one consequence, win over it. Then go to the second consequence, win over it. Then slowly, like once you start winning, you will have courage and you will win over it. Is my take.
I agree.
It's just the fear.
It's a fear, and we don't want to somewhere, we like, come on, I don't want to ruin the relationship.
Yep.
Or, but then the other person is taking it all very professionally, right? They don't bother. It's like if you're going to put yourself out there and somebody is asking you to do something, I'm not saying be just harsh and say, I'm not going to do it, because saying no multiple times also has its consequences. You don't want to not come out as somebody who's not there for the team, but at the same time, don't always be the someone who by default takes the meeting notes. And that one day when you don't send the meeting notes, automatically everybody will be like, yaar, tune notes nahi bheje. Because I have done it. Trust me. So, and I still have a habit. It's a habit. I take very diligent notes and I will create an action plan and everything, because I love doing it for myself. And then it so happened that now everybody was like, where are the notes? Where's the action plan? But I still need to do a lot of delegation. Oh God. Okay, let's continue. I would request somebody to volunteer.
May I?
Yes, please. I'll just share my screen. And we are going to be reading from here.
The linchpin.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Nancy is a senior administrator at a highly rated regional medical center. She started her career as a receptionist with only 2 years of community college. No one in her family had gone beyond high school, and she had never envisioned herself in management. But she's smart, efficient, very hardworking, and remarkably warm and cheerful. Soon after she started, medical teams began relying on her to coordinate with patients. Patients loved her, and the center soon began receiving notes about how much Nancy had helped them. Community ratings for the center began to rise. Then a local philanthropist made a stunningly large donation because his mother had been so well treated by Nancy. After 2 years, senior staff decided she was wasting her time with the reception duties. They created a patient advocate position for her and pointed her to a free tuition program where she earned a 4-year degree in hospital administration. Nancy rose steadily through the ranks. She was asked to start an outreach initiative for families of patients with serious chronic disease to involve them in proactively managing care. She created a highly visible community engagement program that raised the center's regional profile. She helped develop patient service training for medical professionals that received national recognition. When the medical center was acquired by a larger system, many of its programs were consolidated. But Nancy's innovations were adapted by the larger system, which viewed them as a fundraising advantage. For 20 years, Nancy flourished, said a colleague. Anything we did that was outward facing, it was always, let's bring in Nancy. She was our go-to for getting outside people involved. By her late 30s, Nancy was head of external affairs for the entire system. with patient services given a high priority and folded into her brief. But upon reaching this pinnacle, Nancy began to hit some bumps. Put simply, she was spread too thin, in part because her new portfolio was so broad, but also because she was still enmeshed in previous responsibilities. Patients and families she'd worked with in the past continued to call on her for help. Nurses and doctors sometimes asked her to run interference when they encountered roadblocks. A nurse manager noted, Nancy's always had this magic touch, a way of calming nervous and distraught people. Staff found it easier to bring her in than to try to deal with difficult situations themselves. They saw her as the linchpin for when things got rough. Community groups also preferred to deal with Nancy rather than the new people she'd hired for the job. She found herself agreeing to a crowded schedule of public events. Nancy says, I felt like I had 5 jobs and it was running me into the ground, but I didn't really see a good way out. I knew I should focus on the job I had, but so many people had come to rely on me that I didn't feel right about letting them down. I knew patient and family histories and problems. I knew the pain people were in, physical and mental. How could I say I was too busy to help? How could I tell them I'd become a big shot who didn't have time for their problems? They trusted me and saw me as a friend. As Nancy struggled to meet so many responsibilities, her staff began to question her approach. Some felt marginalized and viewed her as always swooping on to do their jobs. And despite her efforts, a number of high-profile patients who were accustomed to her being there for them sensed she was drawing away and grew resentful. Her attempts to please everyone were failing. She felt like nothing she could do was ever enough.
We'll continue reading Enter Elsa, but if somebody else wants to read.
Can I?
Sure, please.
A board member who had known Nancy for over a decade recommended the system hire a coach who could help her figure things out. Elsa had worked with dozens of women and quickly saw Nancy's problem, a need to be liked and viewed as caring and giving by virtually everyone she met. I have seen this so often, says Elsa. Pleasing often works for women until they reach a certain level. Then suddenly it seriously doesn't. When you are in charge of a lot of people, you need to set expectations. If you don't, you are virtually training the people who work for you to rely on you. Elsa noted a number of factors at work in Nancy's dilemma, all of them common among chronic pleasers. First up was Nancy's pervasive sense of guilt. She felt self-conscious about going beyond her family's expectations and feared being seen as too big for her britches. A typical complaint in her family about anyone who was successful. As a result, Nancy was constantly trying to prove she didn't think she was better than anyone else. This made it almost impossible for her to say no. Nancy believed that if she left any of the people she had worked with behind, she would be seen as callous and not only out for herself, says Elsa. That kind of judgment felt intolerable to her, so she kept trying to meet everyone's expectation. The problem was her expanded responsibilities didn't leave time or scope to do that. But rather than accept this and risk being seen as successful and therefore, as her family saw it, a snob, she continually let her boundaries be violated. Elsa also noted Nancy's excessive fear of gossip. She couldn't stand the thought that people might be talking about her in a negative way. She knew the hospital was a gossip mill. Lots of workplaces are, especially those with rigid hierarchical structures, which certainly describes a hospital environment. People don't get talked about, especially people in high positions who have moved quickly through the ranks. Nancy, however, imagined she could remain immune from stepping by being everyone's best friend. Many chronic pleasers share this illusion. Being एक second. being liked was so important to Nancy that it was hard for her to accept she could not control what other people said about her. But as a senior administrator, she could not avoid stirring up some resentment. It comes with the territory. No matter how nice you try to be, you have to make peace with that if you are in a leadership position. Otherwise, you will be at everyone's beck and call. Elsa helped Nancy by pointing out that she had been able to succeed only because other people were willing to delegate responsibilities to her. If they had not, she would still be on the reception desk. Framing it this way and showing how delegation could be a nurturing behavior helped Nancy recognize her constant swooping as a disservice. As a senior leader in the system, she needed to give others the chance to flourish and grow, to feel their way and learn from their own mistakes. Elsa had Nancy create a list of every task she did for a week. She then asked her to put a mark next to only those tasks that lay within her job description and use it as a prompt to set clearer boundaries for herself. It took discipline for Nancy to say no to people who had relied on her to do tasks that were not checked off on her list. But as simple shifts in her behavior began to get better results, Nancy found it easier to push back. She also gained perspective on her need to please. Nancy had always viewed herself as a naturally helpful person, and she was. But now she also saw that her habit of taking on too much was rooted in her need to feel indispensable. As Elsa says, Nancy had to comfort the fact her over involvement had the effect of making everything about her. This is usually shocking as to pleasers because it doesn't fit with the I am such a nice person narrative they carry around in their heads. So many encodes she was carrying, and one simple step, that delegation, you have to delegate the responsibility. It will, this is what I said, many the perfectionists, they try to be hard on themselves, but the moment you start believing that you are a human, you cannot be perfect in every way, so delegate your job or delegate jobs to the people who are better at their profession and do the part which you can do deliberately. So that work, that this is what I understood.
So true. And I think it's not just about setting boundary, but as someone who has people reporting into you, you owe them, to them that, you will give them enough chance to attempt, fail, and then get through it and learn. So I think it's equally important for me to maybe help my team members pick up some tasks which, I should now let go. So that's nurturing part has to also happen. And yes, it did hurt, because when you are somebody everybody's coming to, you feel important. What you forget is that, it could also be a way to help you step up, and it could also be a way to train you for your next role. So it does hurt, but the fact is that it's important. Do we want to continue for the pleaser at home? That's going to hurt us even more.
Yes.
It is better to know and act upon it rather than hiding under the carpet.
True. Okay, anybody would want to read?
Okay,
Okay.
I can read. I can
Please,
read.
please.
Yes, Seema here. The pleaser at home. Able to hear? Able to hear? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the pleaser at home. As Nancy practiced greater detachment, she began to realize that her compulsion to please was also complicating her life at home, just as she did undermined herself by being overly responsive at work. So was she running herself ragged, trying to make sure her kids felt they had the most wonderful mother in the world on every possible occasion. Here again, guilt was partly guiding her behavior because her job was demanding. She felt she needed to check every box when it came to her kids. Even when her son said, "It's fine, Mom, you really don't have to be there," she feared she might later resent her missing even a run of the mill soccer practice. So her basic approach was to say yes to everything and then feel terrible if work intervened and she couldn't fulfill a promise. Many of the mothers in her kids' school did not work, says Nancy. They are like super moms, putting on these amazing birthday parties with homemade treats and decorations they whipped up themselves. One of my neighbors spent a month making these gorgeous fantasy dragon outfit for her kids at Halloween. I felt like a failure when my daughter showed up in a store-bought ghost sheet. While Nancy had never resented her own mother's low-key approach to festivities, she feared her own kid would suffer if she failed to keep pace with neighborhood expectations. And she didn't want her family or, to be honest, the other mothers at school to think she was a big shot with more important things to do. The sociologist Juliet Score notes that contemporary culture was evolved what she calls the most labor-intensive style of mothering the world has ever seen, a level of involvement in children's lives that is without precedent. What's baffling and ironic is that has occurred at precisely the same time that women have entered the workplace in significant numbers and begun to achieve high positions. In earlier generations, when far fewer women were employed, parents were rarely expected to show up at their kids' sport practices or ferry them to a heavy schedule of after-school events. Kids rode bikes around the neighborhood or played in the woods or basement. Birthday parties were mostly about ice cream and cake. Score notes the deep conflict with this shift sets up for women whose guilt about working can make them reluctant to push back against expectations they realize are over the top. Social media only intensifies the pressure as documenting events becomes as important as the events themselves. As one skeptical mother notes, someone will post photos from their kids' party on Facebook. Say the party has circus theme. The cake is in the shape of a circus wagon, and all the kids are given circus costumes to wear. Maybe it gets widely shared. All of a sudden, the other mothers feel like they need to come up with something adorable and original. The result, everyone keeps ratcheting things up, and the working moms either feel like failures because they can't keep up or end up spending insane amounts of money on a 6-year-old's party. At a certain point, the kids become almost secondary. It's all about the photos. Okay, certainly the husband couldn't care less. Sometimes I want to yell out to everyone, can we please just agree to stop? The only way of this accelerated treadmill is to be clear about your priorities and have the confidence to stand up your ground and push back against expectations that have little to do with what really matters to you or, in many cases, your children. Otherwise, the demands, being endless, will consume you. Nancy says, once I got comfortable accepting that my primary purpose in life wasn't pleasing everyone else, I realized I need to make time for what was important to me and my family as opposed to what other people seem to value. For example, I've always disliked crafts, so there is no point in spending time on that because it's what a great mom is supposed to do, or because Instagram is full of cute pictures of moms and their daughters making wreaths.
Do you want to continue reading, Seema, or you want somebody else to read? That's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay reading, or if someone wants to read, I'm okay with that too. Anyone, any takers?
I mean, if you want, I can read, but we are nearing the end of the chapter. So if we can give it a shot to close this, that
Sure, I'll do. I can do
Thank
it.
you.
Okay. Nancy began having more honest conversation at home. She says, I had to get real and give my family a sense of my schedule and commitments. If I couldn't do something, everyone needed to know. Being honest, treating my family like partners made a huge difference in how we communicate. We are much more relaxed together now. Coaches who work with women report that the disease to please is becoming more problematic because expectations are constantly ratcheting up. This is an unspoken elephant in the room at many of the women's conferences we attend, where programs on achieving balance have become a standard part of the repertoire. On one hand, women are urged to go for it and aspire to leadership at the highest level. On the other, they are warned about consequences of missing virtually any activity involving their kids. The fact that balance is now more often described as work-life integration doesn't change the basic message, which is that women not only can have it all, but they are fatally flawed if they do not. To retain any serenity in the ramped up environment, you need to think long and carefully about your priorities, not what would please others, not what would make everyone think you are the most wonderful person they have ever worked with or met, but what you in your heart want to be and achieve in your life. Given all the distractions and pressures you face and the multiplicity of paths to feeling guilty, finding a way to push back against the disease to please is more essential than ever.
I agree to everything.
Yeah.
But then, you know what I did? There was this, my son's, friends, moms, they were like, Garima, I know you're working Monday to Friday. Saturday, ko to, you should come down in the evening. And for once and this was, I think 2 weeks ago, we started the book. And I said, you know what? I only get Saturday, Sunday, and I only get that 1 hour when I'm alone in the house. I'm not on a call. I'm not looking at a laptop. I don't have to follow a timeline. And my son is not there. So I'm going to prioritize my self-care, and I just want to be with myself. And I suddenly realized after I said it, yaar, ye log kya sochenge? They must be thinking what kind of a mom she is. She doesn't want to catch up with us, or she has very high standards or something. So then I said, screw it. I don't care, because I need that 1 hour, 2 hours a week. I deserve that break from everyone. It felt good. Guilty initially, but then it felt good. Who all have been?
Number of times comes that when 2-3 people put their demand that you should do this, you should do that, and we say yes to everything, although we are tired from within, but we say yes. But that time the deepest code runs in our mind that I'm a people pleaser, or I cannot say no, or what that person will think. So many story goes in our mind, and we sometimes forget ourselves. So first, I think the priority should be that what do you want, that you should have in your mind, whether you want to go with or you don't want to go with. Learn to say no. Third one is who are you? If these 3 answers you have, then hardly matter what other people think, because even if you won't think, they will think. It's their job, and everyone's job. If you will take them, who will do your job? So mind your business, and you do your work, and listen your heart more than your mind.
Yeah, I wish it was easier, to be done, because women are taught to think
I'm
about
a coach. I'm a coach. I have gone through the process. I know. Initially, it
I
gets
think it's very
difficult.
good. Yeah.
Initially it becomes very difficult, but the slowly you understand where you are lacking. Then you need to know that where you really need to put boundary, where you need to change from within. The moment you understand that if I don't change here, then nothing is going to work, towards the destination you want to go. So if your destination is clear, and these are certain things that is stopping you, you have to work hard, or you will change it for your own self. Otherwise you leave the destination where you want to. So clarity is breed.
Yeah, it takes little time. It's it has to go slowly. It takes time, and because especially here there has to be a balance, not like office, right? Where as rightly said by Garima earlier, it cannot be done very hard, right? It cannot be a at certain points it has to be a no very hard, but many a places slowly, steadily, one after the other, one task after the other. It could be that's how I did it, and then it happened over the very long period. And then, as I said, like, yeah, no guilt. When you're once done, no guilt. It's like, yeah,
I think my only takeaway is that, when I meet my nieces or when I meet my cousins who have daughters, I tell them that, don't do the mistake that was done with us. Don't expect just too much. I think that's one thing we can do as women who have daughters or, nieces, nephew, basically any young woman. I'm not saying shy away from your responsibility. I mean, I believe there are certain milestones which are important for my child. Like I would want to be there on his annual day. But do I want to be there for every teeny mini session that happens in the school? Or if he is going down to play just to catch up on some gossip? No. So I think we just have to decide on what is a good milestone. And I don't even want to get into the gender war that, why isn't the guy expected to do it or nothing? It is what it is. You have to create your own world. They are who they are, but the least we can do is teach our daughters and our sons well. That's one thing.
Yeah, I think, Garima, just to add to that, I have a daughter. And later on, when I used to be very clingy, I used to be that that birthday party, first year birthday party, everything butterfly theme. Like first 5 years, I did all that every year, one theme and all. By 5th year, I thought it's too much. Then I had a talk with my daughter. What is it you want in the birthday? You want to see so many people, so many gifts. What is it, kind of thing? So somewhere down the line, kids are attached to the gifts part and they need that attention, right? So we decided a game, like every year, whatever is your now year, like you're turning 6, you'll have 6 gifts as a treasure hunt at home. Go and find out. I'm not going to have a birthday party. I'm not going to call anyone. And those gifts will be the gifts what you're going to like. When others give, they will give whatever they want to give, right? This is going to be what you're going to like, right? We tried that for a few years and our birthday parties became like that only. We never used to call anybody else for the birthday party. People used to talk and other things. She was happy, we were happy, and things used to go on, right? So from then on, later on, I realized if you don't attend all the events, I used to be like that, go and attend all the events. Somewhere started feeling that when we give that space, they will learn better than mama being around, because we are not going to be there for rest of their life. There are times where they have to, when the confidence will happen rather than we being by their side all the time. So the minute that realization came, the guilt factor started going away. Like, okay, I'm not letting her go or letting her down. I'm allowing her to grow. So that is when, I started feeling a lot better. And now she has moved to a different city for a college and she comes on her own. She goes back on her own. She's grown that level of confidence. And that is what is an important skill for her to keep growing.
I think you said something on giving space to grow. That is very important. They should realize. And I think we create the entire thing about children liking something that, I want a birthday party. At the end of the day, as a parent, I decided to give a party of that level, or whatever it is. So I shouldn't blame the child for asking for it. It's my mistake. I've created a habit and now they're expecting it. They are not wrong in their ask, right? So maybe start early is a good thing. But yeah, I've decided to keep milestones now because, and I was reading Lean In a couple of years ago, and there's this line when even Sheryl Sandberg says, you can't have it all. And you have to know that you cannot have it all.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean that you're a failure.
Yep.
It's natural. You cannot have it all. And she even quoted that, when we see celebrities, it's important to know that they earn enough to have help of all sorts. You'll have a driver, a child care, a house care, or whatever. So even they don't have it all. So
Yes.
why are we penalizing ourselves so much? But yeah, that's it. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, Garima, I was just, while we were discussing this, the thought came, it is I who puts that pressure in my mind. I seek
Yes.
validation. I am the one who's putting that extra pressure on myself to be perfect. And I'm the one who's bothered by the comments. At the end, I'm not such a sensitive person who gets hassled by the people around, but in some areas, I become so sensitive. Why? I mean, why do I have to be so sensitive? I mean, I don't need that kind of pressure. And believe me, they will talk. Even if I do the right thing, they will talk. So it's better to do it my way and then let them talk. That's what I got present to the fact.
And then you're right. I mean, I take time to, even if I have to give a gift to someone. Nowadays, people give vouchers, Amazon vouchers or some voucher, something like that. I realized I actually pressure myself into, and then I waste time, I get obsessed. I have to give this person, Seema is like this, so I have to do. And then I realized, no, I don't have to. Just let's, be honest. And so you're right. We put the pressure. That validation, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This so
I
resonates
mean,
with all of us, right?
yeah, but it's true.
I
I
mean,
want the
and even if
point.
we get the validation, we are not happy. Again, it's like, so nothing seems to please us. So
Cycle.
I mean, what are we? We try to be super moms, and like that, that late the goddess with 12 hands, but still something keeps bothering us.
So you were
It's by
saying something.
nature.
No, what I
So you were
was saying,
something.
I can resonate with so many things, but lately I just tried to, work on these things. Now what I see is that everybody is so used to the way I've been working that they always took me for granted for everything that was around. Everything is set, ready for everyone, like that, And now when things are missing, now they point out, is like, oh, this is not done. Why? What happened? You were busy, So if I take out time for myself, or I just skip something which can be taken care of by someone, now everybody is like prompt to see that this thing is not done. So it's really the transition phase is also.
Just don't let that guilt trip bring you back into your original zone, right? So now that you've started not doing some things, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone, you deserve the self-care time.
So I think it's a very slow process, because realization has taken so much time. And now to move forward from that is another journey, I think.
Let's be honest. I mean, I don't know the range of age that this group is, but even if, the youngest woman here is 23, 24-year-old, you have a habit worth those many years. We have been doing the same thing over and over, for the last 40 odd years or 50 odd years. So let's not blame ourselves for not being able to let go. It has taken you 40 years of practice to be where you unfortunately are. So give yourself time. It's like, going to the gym. It's 40 years of body not being able to work out. So you can't expect miracles in week one. You have to be gradually just keep on doing it over and over again. Like, every day, small wins. That's what should help. So good luck. On that note, we are 4 minutes past 5. And we will be reading habit number 9 and chapter number 13 on our own through the week. It's called Minimizing. I haven't read it, so I don't know what it is about. And next Sunday, we will do a recap for chapter 9, and we will read habit number 10, chapter number 14, which is called Too Much. With that note, if anybody would want to add some closing thoughts, otherwise I think let this not guilt us into anything further.
I've started chapter 9. Sorry, I've started the habit 9, minimizing. That also a lot of people will resonate with. It's very interesting. It's about
but on Monday, I think first thing I'm going to do is make a list of all the things that I can delegate, and that I should let my team do it. I spend too much time obsessing over the colors of the PPT. I think I should stop doing it.
Yeah.
And I realized I was so wrong because I would judge people according to that. So read it. I don't want to tell you what it is about. It's
Okay.
very interesting.
Okay. Maybe we can, each one of us can post what is that small win we did. Oh,
Yes.
something what we were not doing earlier. It may be the perfectionist thing or may be the DCs.
I
Yep.
think this is what
do that.
leveraging is all about. Which was talked, leveraging women's how they
Yeah,
leverage.
yeah. We're in the
leverage,
same boat and then
know,
support each
they
other.
leverage being nice to with people. They leverage everything. So whatever is being discussed here.
Good. And just a quick one. Next week, we'll also be releasing the schedule for the next year. So looking forward to it. It will allow all of you to also see if you would want to pick the book up or something. It's a good book that we are picking up for the new year, much like this. So much looking forward to it. But wait till 23rd. We'll release the schedule as well.
Garima, it's 25th. We're going to have that meeting, no?
25th.
Next week.
I think we should. Should we? 4 o'clock should be fine. I think. You know? Okay, great.
Oh,
I'll see you guys next week then. Happy reading and let's rise.
yes,
Very
on the
excited.
25th.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.